Hey guys, welcome to Book It List. I'm Raji and today I'm going to give you 5 reasons as to why you must read The Forest of Enchantments by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. Now let us actually light up a scented candle and begin the video. As you probably know already, The Forest of Enchantments is Ramayan from Sita's point of view, and the story begins when Valmiki is done with writing the Ramayan and he shows the whole script to Sita. And Sita is angry because a lot of the things that happened from her perspective was missing. So she begins writing her own Ramayan, and that is the book. So the first reason I think you must pick up this book is the cover design and the title. Yes, I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but the thing that initially attracted me the most to this book is the cover design, and the title The Forest of Enchantments already tells us that the book is going to be full of magic and enchantments, and most of the story is going to take place in a forest. And look at the cover design. Sita is actually holding the palm leaf in which she is going to start writing the Ramayan. I mean, the details. Wow. The second reason why I think you must read the book is there is a very beautiful, strong connection between Sita and nature in this book. So, we all know that Sita is actually born from the earth, right? She is the child of the earth. So there is a very beautiful connection wherein she has healing powers through just plants and leaves. Like, I'll just read something to you. It always gives me goosebumps when I read this particular para. So my strange gift with plants was a mystery to me. Perhaps it was because, like them, I was earthborn. Maybe for the same reason, when I touched a plant, I knew its healing properties. I could tell which grass cured headaches and colds, which seeds fended off infections, which herbs to give women when their monthly blood flowed too long, and which potions healed the shaking sickness or gladdened a long depressed heart. So she when she's growing up in her father's palace, she actually has a small healing house wherein the people of the country come in for treatment when they were sick, and Sita used to cure them. This is such a nice characteristic to add in this book, because I feel like I know Sita a little bit more, because it makes total sense that she is so connected to nature. And even when she's taken to the Lanka by Ravan, she is still very emotionally attached to the Ashoka tree, right? There is another line which always gives me goosebumps. Let me read it to you. The plants and trees were innocent and beautiful. When I touched them, I could feel their sympathy for me. If they were ailing, my touch cured them. And thus we grew to love each other. I was particularly fond of the Ashoka tree under which I slept. When no one was watching, I cleared the dead leaves that piled up around it, and when I lay down to sleep, I placed my palms against its trunk to draw in comfort. So this connection that she has, like even when she lives in the forest, even when she is sent by Ram to the forest when she was pregnant, like I feel like she never felt completely alone, because she always had trees and plants which according to her were living things. So it's so beautiful. The third reason why I think you must read this book is because even though it is a tale of Ramayan from Sita's point of view, the main theme of the book, the main essence of the book is pure love. Like, let me just read something to you, like I must, okay? This was my first lesson on the nature of love, that in a moment it could fulfill the cravings of a lifetime, like a light that someone might shine into a cave that has been dark for 1,000,000 years. So as Sita grows up, she sees people around her and learns about different types of love. And with Sita, we also get such a deep uh, perspective about how powerful the emotion love can be. It is not only about Sita's love for Ram, but it is an embodiment of the whole tale. Like, Sita's love for Urmila, Lakshman's love for Ram, and Ram's love for Hanuman, and even Surpanaka's love for the brothers. So, like, there is no bad person in this book. Even there's a perspective about how pure Ravan's love for Sita is. So when you think about it, uh, this tale can be taken into different perspectives. There are so many characters in the book and so many perspectives. So Sita is so empathetic that she thinks about each and every character's perspective of why they are doing what they're doing. And like, she is such a sweet woman, and I really want to be like her. So when you read about love in this book, you will feel like hugging the book. Like, it took me 1 week to finish the Forest of Enchantments, and I remember last year I went to sleep hugging the book, and I used to repeat so many beautiful lines that's written here. It is so damn beautiful. You will feel deep emotions. You will get attached to so many characters, not just Sita, so many characters, and it's very beautifully written. The fourth reason why you must read this book is actually a very emotional reason for me, because since childhood, whenever I heard of Ramayan from my grandparents and my parents, I never got like a satisfaction and a closure to how Sita's life ended without even expressing how she felt. Uh, like, for example, she has been wronged so many times in her life by Ram, but that is never really expressed in any of the other stories, because we see Ram as a god, and like, he cannot do anything wrong, and that Sita as a woman must endure all of the pain that was given to her. But in this book, we actually get to see Sita expressing her emotion towards Ram at the end. And I felt like I got my closure after like 20 years, I must say. So when I read this particular paragraph, I was weeping and hugging the book and smiling at the same time. Let me read it to you. This was when, for the second time, Sita is asked to do the Agni Pariksha by Ram. So, rage rises up in me until my whole body is scorched. For some kinds of burning don't require a fire. Not a word of love, not a word of apology for the sorrow he has caused me, not a word about how unjust and cruel he sent me away. He hasn't even called me by my name yet. It's clear to me now what I need to do. Anger and self pity are useless emotions, so I push them away and speak calmly, even though my heart is breaking all over again. So, we know that Sita, we've never seen Sita as like an angry woman, but this is the kind of anger which tells us that she is angry even though she loves Ram. Like, her love for Ram is never imbalanced at all. She always loves Ram, always respects him, uh, like whatever happens. But like, she expressed her emotions at least. This is what she tells to Ram: you have always placed your role as a king ahead of your role as a husband. That is such a deep sentence when you think about it. But she continues to ask, I have also been a citizen of Ayodhya. Did you act justly when you sent me away to the forest, knowing I was innocent of what the gossip mongers were whispering? Did you stop to think a wise king would? that there would always be people who gossip even in the best run kingdoms, for it is their nature. Were you compassionate the way a king is meant to be when you banished me without telling me what you were about to do? Without allowing me to defend myself or choose my destiny? Were you unfair to your unborn children when you sentenced them to a life of hardship, perhaps even death in the wilderness? So, like, these are all the emotions that obviously Sita would have felt at the time, but we have never even seen in any of the other books of her expressing these emotions. And I don't know why, because it gives me so much closure, you know. uh, you who care so much about the citizens of Ayodhya, did you think of the impact your actions would have on the women of the city? That men would punish their wives harshly or even discard them for the smallest refractions, saying, King Ram did so, then why shouldn't I? So she speaks not only on behalf of herself, but the women of Ayodhya, like what Ram's decision must have an impact on the other people and the other men and the women. So, like, this particular paragraph, it made me weep so damn much, and it also feels like a heavy weight being lifted off my chest. It's so beautiful. You may have already found out, I am very obsessed with the character of Sita from Ramayan. She's my second favorite character after Hanuman in this tale. So whenever we see, Sita in Ramayan, she's either described as, a very weak person who is very emotionally, down, and she cries all the time, and she is like dwelled in, self-pity. And we often see that she's very submissive to her husband and doesn't talk out about her emotions at all. Like, that's how we have seen Sita. And we have other, new books about Sita where we even see her as a warrior. Obviously, this is a completely different retelling by Amish, but when I think of how Sita would actually have been before, history of writers have actually, demolished or degraded her character a lot by calling her meek and, emotionally a weak person. This book, The Forest of Enchantments, I feel is the closest to Sita we will ever get. Because this book, and this is the fifth reason why you must read this book, is that it gave me a fresh new perspective of feminism and gender equality. Yes, in this book, Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni never even once, sidelined the actual tale of Ramayan. She never changes anything. There is no, there is nothing different from the actual tale. But as we see the story from her point of view, we see how mentally strong she is and how her own decision has shaped Ramayan to be what it is today. For example, we see that she has a very strong connection with nature, and that she has a very strong magical connection to the bow that Ramayan wins in her Swayamvar before they get married. And we see how close and like how kind she is to Hanuman and the animals and everyone basically. So she is a very pure hearted person, but she is not emotionally weak, because it is her decision to fall in love with Ram. It is her decision to follow Ram and Lakshman to the forest. She didn't have to go, right? But because of her love for Ram, she follows him into danger, into the forest. And it is her decision to cross the line, after which Ravan kidnaps her. And it is her decision not to allow Ravan to touch her. Like, it would have been very easy for her to accept, Ravan, because it would have been very easy for her to mistrust Ram, but she didn't. She always had the hope that he will come and take her away from Ravan. So that is another important decision. And lastly, there is a goosebumps moment, the final goosebumps moment in this book, where Sita decides to end her life and no more continue her relationship with Ram, even though he begs her to come back. I was in a way hoping that Sita would say yes, and Ram and Sita would be reunited, because I expected that. I don't know why, even though I know how it is going to end, but I never expected that there is a little bit of feminism involved in the ending. I will read it to you. For the sake of my sons, I made myself live when it could have been much easier to give up and die than to go through the pain of having the person you love the most in the world abandon you. And the next line. For the sake of my daughters in the centuries to come, I must now stand up against this unjust action you are asking of me, which is the Agni Pariksha. So, we are the daughters in the centuries to come. So, so she doesn't really talk about feminism, but her actions and the emotions that she goes through is all about gender equality. Believe me, even though there is so much unjust and wrong done to her, it is still her decision to have the twins. She has two sons in the forest which belong to Ram, but it is her decision to raise them in the forest as a single mother so many years ago. I mean, that is super brave, if you ask me. And Sita is such a tender, beautiful, powerful, emotionally strong woman that I aspire to be. So I guess that is my review for this book, and I've given you only 5 reasons why you must read the book. But if you let me, I will even give you 100 reasons to read this book. So if you haven't read The Forest of Enchantments, please do pick it up, because it is the most beautiful book written by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni like ever. And I reread this just a few weeks ago, and the emotion and the feeling that I felt for the first time was there, and I felt them all over again. So if you haven't picked up the book, please do. Please read The Forest of Enchantments, because it will open your eye about a lot of things that's going on in the tale. And if you've already read the book, I advise you to read it again, because it's fun. So that's it for today's video. If you liked it, please like, share and subscribe to my channel so that you get notified every time I post a new video. I'll see you guys this Wednesday with another book review. Until then, bye.